Welcome back. Tonight, we drift through the sleepy streets of London. So wherever you are, however your day has been, you have nothing to do now but rest. There are no twists tonight, nothing to follow, nothing you need to remember in the morning. A city of soot-stained brick and wet slate, growing still under a steady, soft rain. We'll drift slowly, in no hurry to be anywhere at all. If these journeys help you rest, you're welcome to follow along, but only if you'd like to. And if you're listening now, leave the name of your city and the time where you are. Wherever you're listening from, you're in good company tonight. So let yourself settle. Let your shoulders soften, and let your eyes close whenever they're ready. Breathe in slowly, and let it go. There's no need to stay awake for any of this. Just let the streets of London come to you. A city's story often begins with water. For London, it was the River Thames. The Romans who founded Londinium were practical people. They didn't choose this spot for its beauty, but for its utility. As they traveled up the river from the sea, this was the first place they found that was narrow enough to build a bridge. Yet the water was still deep enough for their ocean-going ships. This created a perfect inland port, a place where trade could flow easily from the wider world into the heart of the land. It was a simple, strategic choice. The city began not as a grand statement, but as a functional crossing point, a meeting of land and water. This practical spirit, this connection to commerce and movement, was woven into its fabric from the very first day. The medieval city was a dense tapestry of timber and thatch. It was a place of narrow lanes and overhanging houses. Then, in 1666, the Great Fire came. It was a disaster that didn't just scar the city, it erased it. The old London of wood and straw vanished in the flames. From those ashes, a new city had to be born. The rebuilding was slow and deliberate. It was guided by new laws, rules born from the trauma of the fire. Buildings were now required to be brick and stone. This single decision created a more resilient city, a non-flammable core that could endure. You can still feel this change today. The fire carved away the medieval past, and in its place, a more solid, permanent London began to take shape, a city built to last. Sometimes, a city is forced to change by something you can't even see. In the summer of 1858, it was the smell. The River Thames had become an open sewer, and the heat made the odor unbearable. They called it the Great Stink. It was so powerful that it seeped into the Houses of Parliament, forcing politicians to flee their chambers. This single, overwhelming sensory assault finally spurred them to action. The event led directly to the creation of one of London's most important pieces of infrastructure. Joseph Bazalgette's revolutionary sewer system was commissioned. This vast network of underground tunnels cleaned the river and saved the city from its own waste. It's a quiet reminder that great progress can sometimes begin with a moment of shared, unbearable discomfort, a problem too big to ignore. For over 1,000 years, a great stone wall told London where it began and ended. The Roman London Wall defined the city's boundaries, a clear line between the urban and the rural. Today, the wall itself is mostly gone, a ghost in the modern city. But its path is still there, written into the landscape. The financial district, the City of London, is still shaped by its ancient curve. The layout of the streets, the placement of buildings, all follow a logic that is 2,000 years old. You can still find remnants of the wall if you know where to look. They are tucked between sleek office buildings and busy roads, quiet fragments of stone and red tile. These pieces are a physical link to the city's deepest past, a foundation still holding up the present. The Norman conquest gave London two centres of power, a division that defines it still. William the Conqueror was a shrewd ruler. He understood the city's dual nature. In the east, he built the Tower of London. It was a formidable fortress, designed to intimidate and control the city's commercial heart. This was where the money was, and the tower was its guard. But he established his political court to the west, at Westminster. This became the home of government and royalty. This created two distinct hubs, one for commerce, one for the crown. This separation of money and state, east and west, became a fundamental part of London's identity. The city has grown immensely, but this twin-hearted structure, set in stone by the Normans, remains a key to understanding its character and its layout. In the 1530s, King Henry VIII made a decision that reshaped London's landscape. His dissolution of the monasteries was a political and religious act. But it was also a massive land grab. Huge areas of London and its surroundings were owned by the church. Suddenly, all this land was freed up. It was sold or given to aristocrats and wealthy merchants. They began to develop these large tracts into grand residential estates. The elegant squares and leafy streets we associate with parts of London today were born from this moment. Places like Covent Garden were once monastic lands. The King's break with Rome wasn't just an abstract event. It had a physical result, clearing the way for a new kind of city to be built, one of private wealth and grand domestic architecture. A city is also shaped by the people who seek refuge there. In the late 17th century, thousands of Huguenots fled persecution in France. Many of them settled in the London neighbourhood of Spitalfields. They brought with them their faith, their culture, and a very specific skill, silk weaving. They were masters of their craft, with techniques far more advanced than what was known in England. Their arrival transformed Spitalfields into a global centre for textiles. The neighbourhood buzzed with the sound of looms. The legacy of their craft is still visible in the area's architecture. The weavers, houses with their large attic windows, designed to catch the light for detailed work, still line the streets. They are a quiet monument to the refugees who wove themselves into the fabric of the city. The city's growth was fueled by an appetite for things from far away. Goods like sugar, tobacco and tea poured in from the colonies. The old river wharves could no longer handle the volume. A new solution was needed. This led to the creation of London's vast docklands. Huge, enclosed wet docks were dug out of the marshland to the east of the city. These were massive engineering projects, creating a new industrial waterfront. The economic heart of London shifted eastward, away from the old city centre. This new world of docks, warehouses and cranes had its own distinct culture and community. It was a place built for one purpose: to connect London to its growing empire, one ship at a time. The docks were the engine room of a global city. Destruction can sometimes clear the way for new ideas. The Blitz during World War II left vast scars on London's landscape. Entire neighbourhoods were reduced to rubble. In the years that followed, these empty spaces became opportunities. They were blank canvases for a new generation of architects with bold, modern visions. One of the most striking results of this post-war rebuilding is the Barbican estate. It was a radical idea, a concrete utopia, a city within a city, built on a site that had been heavily bombed. It was designed to be a complete community, with homes, gardens and arts venues. The Blitz didn't just destroy buildings. It created the space for a different kind of city to grow, one that looked to the future with a stark, uncompromising optimism. After the Second World War, London was growing fast. Planners worried it would sprawl endlessly, swallowing the surrounding countryside. They came up with a bold solution: the Green Belt. This was a ring of protected countryside encircling the entire city. Development within this belt was strictly controlled. This single decision had a profound effect on London's character. It stopped the city from spreading outwards. Instead, London was forced to grow inwards and upwards. It had to become denser, to make better use of the space it already had. This policy preserved the landscape, and gave London its sharp edge, the clear line where the city ends, and the country begins. It defined the city by containing it, creating a dense urban core surrounded by a quiet circle of green. In 1948, a ship called the HMT Empire Windrush docked in London. It carried passengers from the Caribbean who had been invited to help rebuild post-war Britain. This arrival was a pivotal moment. It marked the beginning of a new chapter in the city's story. The Windrush generation, and the many migrants who followed, brought new energy, new music and new flavors. They fundamentally reshaped London's cultural identity. Neighborhoods like Brixton and Notting Hill were transformed. They became vibrant centers of Caribbean culture. The city's monochrome post-war character began to bloom into a more complex multicultural tapestry. The arrival of that single ship was a quiet turning point, one that made London the diverse global city it is today. It was a journey that changed both the passengers and the city that received them. For centuries, the London docks were a world of their own. Then, in the 1960s, a simple metal box changed everything. The invention of the shipping container made the old way of loading and unloading ships obsolete almost overnight. The vast network of London's docks, designed for manual labor, could not compete. This economic collapse was swift and devastating. The docks fell silent. For decades, the area was a wasteland of derelict warehouses and empty water. It was a forgotten part of the city. Then, in the 1980s, a massive gamble was taken. A plan was hatched to reinvent the area as a new financial district. This led to the rise of Canary Wharf, a forest of skyscrapers on the ruins of the old docks. It was a dramatic reinvention, a story of collapse and rebirth. By the mid-19th century, London's streets were completely gridlocked. The city was choking on its own traffic. A radical solution was needed. The answer was to go underground. In 1863, the world's first underground railway, the Metropolitan Railway, opened. It was a revolutionary idea, a way to move people beneath the chaos of the streets. The first lines were built using a method called cut and cover, digging a trench and then roofing it over. The success of this first railway sparked a boom in underground construction. This led to the development of the entire tube network. It is the city's circulatory system, a web of tunnels that allows the vast metropolis to function. It was an engineering marvel that solved an impossible problem, and allowed London to keep growing. The south bank of the Thames was once a forgotten place. It was a landscape of derelict warehouses and industrial grime. That changed in 1951, with the Festival of Britain. This event was a deliberate act of national optimism. It was designed to give a war-weary country a glimpse of a brighter, more modern future. The festival was held on the South Bank, transforming the area. It left behind a legacy of cultural venues, like the Royal Festival Hall. This was the seed of a new identity for the riverside. Over the decades, this cultural hub grew, with theatres, galleries and concert halls. The festival was a catalyst. It took a neglected piece of industrial land and reimagined it as a place for art and people, a vision that continues to define the South Bank today. If you look at a map of London's major roads, you might notice something strange. Many of them run in unnervingly straight lines, cutting through the messy fabric of the city. These are not modern creations. They are ghosts of the Roman Empire. Roads like the A2 to Dover or the A10 to York follow the precise paths laid down by Roman road builders 2,000 years ago. The Romans built their roads to move legions and goods quickly and efficiently. They built them straight and they built them to last. Over the centuries, the city grew up around these ancient arteries. They became the hidden skeleton that shapes London's transport network. When you drive on these roads, you are traveling along lines drawn in the landscape, when London was still a small Roman outpost. For centuries, the River Thames would sometimes freeze solid in winter. This wasn't just due to cold weather. The old London Bridge with its 19 massive piers acted like a dam. It slowed the river's flow, making it easier for ice to form. When the river froze, the city celebrated. Great frost fairs were held on the ice. Tents were erected, and people skated, played games, and bought goods. It was a magical, temporary world on the frozen water. This tradition ended for two reasons. The climate began to warm. And in the 19th century, the old bridge was demolished and replaced with a new one with wider arches. This allowed the river to flow more freely. The era of the great frost fairs melted away, becoming just a memory in the city's long story. London is a city blessed with great green spaces. Parks like Hyde Park, Regent's Park, and Richmond Park are essential to its character. But they were not created for the public. They exist because they were once the private hunting grounds of monarchs. Kings like Henry VIII used these vast areas for their sport. There were enclosed forests, reserved for the pleasure of the crown. As the city grew denser and more industrial, the need for open space became urgent. Gradually, over centuries, these royal lands were opened up to the public. They became the city's green lungs, places for recreation and escape. These parks are an accidental gift from a royal past. They provide a vital sense of space and nature, a legacy of a time when they were reserved for just one person. London's journey to becoming a global financial centre didn't start in a palace or a parliament. It began in the city's 17th century coffeehouses. These were not just places to get a drink. They were hubs of information and commerce. Merchants, ship captains and investors gathered in the smoky rooms to share news and make deals. Each coffeehouse had its own specialty. Some were for traders, others for writers or scientists. It was in one of these establishments that the great insurance market, Lloyd's of London, was born. These coffee houses were the city's first social network, a place where a new idea, or a business partnership, could be forged over a cup of coffee. The foundations of the modern financial district were laid in these noisy, energetic and innovative public spaces. In 1854, a cholera outbreak devastated the Soho neighborhood. At the time, people believed the disease was spread through bad air. A doctor named John Snow had a different theory. He began to map the cases, and he noticed they were all clustered around a single water pump on Broad Street. To test his idea, he did something simple but radical. He removed the handle from the pump. The outbreak immediately began to subside. This act proved that cholera was a waterborne disease. It was a turning point for public health around the world. It showed that scientific observation and decisive action could save lives. Cities were forced to rethink how they managed their water supplies. It was a quiet revolution that began with one man, a map, and the removal of a single iron handle. For decades, the London Stock Exchange was a closed world, a club with its own strict rules. That all changed in 1986, with an event known as the Big Bang. This was the sudden deregulation of the financial markets. The old ways of doing business were swept away. The Old Boys Club was shattered, and a new era of fierce global competition was unleashed. This event transformed the City of London. It attracted a flood of international banks and investment. This new money and energy fueled a skyscraper boom. The city's skyline, once dominated by historic domes and spires, began to fill with towers of glass and steel. The Big Bang was a noisy, chaotic event that created the modern, hyper-competitive financial powerhouse we see today, forever changing the city's physical and economic landscape. Have you ever wondered why London's theatres are all clustered in the West End? The answer is simple: it's the wind. For centuries, the prevailing winds in London have blown from the west to the east. The East End was the industrial heart of the city, full of factories, tanneries and breweries. The wind carried the smoke, smell and pollution from this industrial activity eastward, away from the West End. This made the west side of the city a much more pleasant place to live. The wealthy built their homes there, and with them came the demand for entertainment. Theatres, concert halls, and fashionable shops sprang up. The West End became the city's entertainment district, not by grand design, but because of the simple, daily reality of which way the wind was blowing. In 1665, a year before the Great Fire, London faced another catastrophe, the Great Plague. The disease swept through the crowded city, wiping out nearly a quarter of its population. It was a time of immense fear and loss. But the plague also had unforeseen consequences. it led to the first organized attempts at public health measures and data collection. Officials began to record deaths and their causes, trying to understand the patterns of the disease. This created a new awareness of the city as a single, interconnected organism. The plague also created a psychological shift. It broke the city's spirit, but it also made people ready for radical change. When the Great Fire came just 1 year later, the city was already prepared for the idea of a complete and total reset. The original London Bridge was more than just a way to cross the river. It was a destination in itself. For centuries, this medieval bridge was a bustling street, crowded with over 200 houses and shops, built directly on top of its stone arches. Some of these buildings were 7 stories high. It was a chaotic, vibrant, and unique part of the city. Imagine living in a house where the river flowed directly beneath your floorboards. But this crowded structure also acted as a dam, holding back the river's flow. In the 19th century, it was finally demolished and replaced with a more modern bridge. This decision opened up the river, changing the city's relationship with the Thames forever. An entire, vertical neighborhood simply vanished, leaving the river to flow freely once more. In the 9th century, London was a city with 2 distinct parts. Inside the old Roman walls was Londinium, a place of stone and history. But outside the walls, a new settlement was growing. Viking traders established a post on the riverbank, in the area we now know as Aldwych and Covent Garden. They called their settlement Llandenwych. This was a bustling commercial town, built of wood and focused on trade. The old Roman city was more of a defensive stronghold. For a time, these 2 Londons existed side by side, one Saxon, one Viking, one inside the walls, one outside. This established a twin-centered pattern that persisted for centuries. The city's center of gravity shifted back and forth between these 2 poles, a quiet rivalry that shaped its early growth and development. The arrival of the railways in the 19th century didn't just change travel. It created a new way of life and a new kind of Londoner. The Metropolitan Railway in particular had a vision. It wasn't just selling train tickets, it was selling a dream. This dream was called Metroland. The railway company bought up land along its new lines, extending out into the countryside. It then promoted an idyllic vision of country living within easy commuting distance of the city. Advertisements showed charming suburban houses with gardens, a peaceful escape from the crowded city center. This strategy worked. It pulled the city outwards along its new iron arteries, creating the sprawling suburbs that define so much of modern London. The city's shape was redrawn by the promise of a garden and a train ride home. London is a city of buried rivers. Beneath the noise and traffic, ancient waterways still flow, hidden from sight. The most famous of these is the River Fleet. It was once an open river, wide enough for ships to sail upon. But as the city grew, it became polluted, and was eventually enclosed, brick by brick, becoming part of the sewer system. It still flows today, a ghost river in a Victorian tunnel. You can't see it, but you can feel its presence. If you stand on Holborn Viaduct, you are on a bridge built to span the Fleet's hidden valley. The dip in the road is a subtle clue to the river that still runs in the darkness below, a secret current moving silently beneath the city's feet. Inspiration can come from unexpected places. The traditional tiered wedding cake, a familiar sight at celebrations everywhere, may have its origins in a London church. The story goes that a baker's apprentice in the 18th century was in love with his boss's daughter. He wanted to create a spectacular cake to impress her. Looking for ideas, he gazed out of his window on Fleet Street and saw the steeple of St. Bride's Church. The elegant, layered design by Sir Christopher Wren gave him his inspiration. He recreated the church's tiers in pastry and sugar. Whether the story is true or not, it's a lovely thought. A symbol of celebration, known around the world, might have been born from a simple moment of looking up at the city's architecture and feeling inspired. Inside the grand dome of St. Paul's Cathedral, there is a place where sound behaves in a strange and beautiful way. It's called the Whispering Gallery. It's a narrow walkway that circles the base of the dome, high above the cathedral floor. The gallery is famous for a peculiar acoustic trick. If you stand on one side and whisper softly against the curved wall, your voice will travel all the way around the circumference. A person standing on the opposite side, over 100 feet away, can hear your whisper as clearly as if you were standing right next to them. It's a magical effect, a secret shared between the architecture and the air. It turns the vast public space of the cathedral into a place of intimate, quiet connection, a secret passed from one side to the other. There is a station on the London Underground, where the trains no longer stop. Aldwych Station, a short branch of the Piccadilly line, closed to passengers in 1994. But it was never demolished. Instead, it has been perfectly preserved, a time capsule of a bygone era of tube travel. The old wooden ticket booths, vintage posters, and tiled passageways are all still there. It's a ghost station, silent and still, waiting for passengers who will never arrive. Because it is so well preserved, it has found a new life. It is now used almost exclusively as a filming location. When a movie or TV show needs a vintage underground setting, they come to Aldwych. The station has become a silent actor, playing itself in stories of the city's past. For nearly 90 years, London had a special railway line dedicated to the dead. The London Necropolis Railway was a unique and sombre service. It ran from a private station near Waterloo, a grand building with separate waiting rooms for different classes of mourners. The trains had carriages for the living, and carriages for the dead. They transported coffins and their grieving families out of the crowded city to the vast Brookwood Cemetery in Surrey. It was a practical solution to the problem of London's overflowing churchyards. The railway was a quiet, efficient and respectful part of the city's infrastructure, a final journey out of the city's noise and into the peace of the countryside. The London station is gone, but the idea of it remains, a strange and poignant chapter in the city's history. For most of the 20th century, a secret railway hummed and rattled deep beneath the streets of London. It was the Post Office Railway, a private, underground network known as Mail Rail. It was a tiny, driverless electric railway, with small trains that carried letters and parcels between sorting offices. For over 75 years, it operated in secret, a hidden world of miniature tunnels and automated trains. Londoners walking on the streets above had no idea that millions of letters were speeding through the earth, right beneath their feet. The system was closed in 2003, but the tunnels and trains remain. It's a fascinating glimpse into a hidden layer of the city's life, a secret network that kept the city connected in a way most people never knew existed. The Barbican estate is a world of concrete, a fortress of modernism in the heart of the city. When it was designed, the architects had a futuristic vision. They wanted to create a world where people could live, work, and walk, without ever having to encounter a car. The key to this vision was the High Walks. This is a network of elevated concrete walkways that connect the residential towers, the art centre, and the gardens. The idea was to create a completely separate pedestrian level, a peaceful world of walkways and podiums high above the noise and danger of the streets below. Walking on the high walks today still feels like stepping into that future. You are in the city, but separate from it, moving through a quiet, elevated landscape of textured concrete and surprising green spaces. On the banks of the Thames stands an ancient Egyptian obelisk, known as Cleopatra's Needle. It is a monument that has seen thousands of years of history, but beneath it lies a much more modern secret. When the obelisk was erected in London in 1878, a time capsule was buried in the pedestal. It was a message to the future, a snapshot of Victorian Britain. It contains a set of coins from the era, a railway guide showing the reach of the British Empire, and several Bibles in different languages. Curiously, it also includes portraits of the 12 best-looking Englishwomen of the day. It's a strange and fascinating collection, a mix of the grand and the trivial, sealed in metal and buried beneath a piece of ancient Egypt, waiting quietly by the river. If you walk through the older parts of London, especially in the East End, you might start to notice ghosts on the walls. These are ghost signs, the faded, hand-painted advertisements of businesses that are long gone. You can see them on the brick facades of buildings, their colors muted by time and weather. They advertise things like pickles, tobacco, tailoring, or soap. The words are often faint, the letters peeling, but they are still there. Each one is a small, quiet story, a whisper from a previous commercial era. They are the echoes of a time before plastic signs and digital billboards. They remind us of the layers of history that exist on every street, the lives and businesses that have passed through these spaces, leaving only a faint, painted shadow behind. At the base of Nelson's Column in Trafalgar Square, 4 enormous bronze lions keep watch. They are powerful and iconic symbols of the city. The story of their creation is as monumental as they are. The sculptor, Sir Edwin Landseer, was a famous painter of animals, but he had never sculpted on this scale before. He took the commission very seriously. To ensure anatomical accuracy, he reportedly worked from the body of a real lion. He acquired the carcass of a lion that had died at the London Zoo and had it delivered to his studio. He spent years studying and sketching it as it slowly decomposed. This dedication to realism is what gives the lions their incredible sense of life and power. They are not just statues, they are portraits, born from a strange and macabre artistic process. The River Thames is a tidal river, and for centuries, London has lived with the threat of flooding. But today the city is protected by a remarkable piece of engineering: the Thames Barrier. It is a line of 10 massive, movable steel gates that stretch across the river east of the city. Most of the time, they rest on the riverbed, allowing ships to pass freely. But when a dangerous high tide is forecast, the gates can be raised. They pivot up from the water, their curved surfaces gleaming like the shells of giant armadillos. When fully raised, they form a solid steel wall, holding back the sea and protecting the city. It is a monumental, almost futuristic structure, a silent guardian watching over London, ready to rise at a moment's notice. Sometimes, a building's design can have unintended consequences. The skyscraper at 20 Fenchurch Street was nicknamed the walkie-talkie because of its distinctive shape. But its curved, concave facade also gave it another, more troublesome nickname, the walkie-scorchy. The building's shape acted like a giant magnifying glass. It focused the sun's rays into an intense, concentrated beam. In the summer of 2013, this beam was so powerful that it reportedly melted the plastic parts of a car parked on the street below. It also singed carpets and started small fires. The problem was eventually solved by fitting the building with a permanent sunshade. But for a brief time, a London skyscraper had the power to melt things, a strange and powerful flaw in its ambitious design. Deep beneath the streets of Westminster, hidden from the city's view, lies a place where history was made. The Churchill War Rooms are a network of underground bunkers that served as the British government's command centre during World War II. From this secret, subterranean world, Winston Churchill and his cabinet directed the war effort. After the war ended, the doors were locked, and the rooms were simply left. They have been preserved exactly as they were on the last day of use. Maps are still pinned to the walls, showing the state of the war in 1945. Telephones sit on desks, and ashtrays still hold Churchill cigars. To walk through these rooms today is to step back in time, into the quiet, intense, and claustrophobic heart of Britain's darkest and finest hour. Leadenhall Market is a beautiful Victorian shopping arcade in the heart of the financial district. Its ornate ironwork and glass roof create a light and airy space. But if you could peel back the cobblestones, you would find something much older. The market stands directly on top of the centre of Roman Londinium. The spot where the market's main passages cross is the exact location of the ancient Roman Forum and Basilica. This was the heart of the Roman city, its main public square and courthouse. For 2,000 years, this small patch of land has been a centre of commerce and public life. The Victorian market is just the latest layer in a long and continuous history. It's a place where the city's Roman past lies just inches beneath the surface of its Victorian present. Not all London underground tunnels are the same. The deep level lines, like the Northern and Piccadilly, are famous for their circular, tube, tunnels. But the oldest parts of the network have a very different shape. Lines like the District, Circle and Metropolitan were built using a method called cut and cover. The builders would dig a huge trench in the street, lay the tracks, and then build a roof over it. The resulting tunnels have a distinctive rectangular or arched shape. They are much larger and closer to the surface than the deep tubes. When you ride on these lines, you can see the brick walls and iron girders of the original construction. It's a different feeling, a reminder of the network's Victorian origins, and the brute force engineering that first brought railways to the city's underground. For decades, one of London's most recognisable landmarks was officially a secret. The BT Tower, a tall, slender cylinder covered in antennas, was a crucial part of the national communications network. Because of its importance, it was considered a potential target. So, for security reasons, it was treated as if it didn't exist. It was omitted from all official maps, including the popular A to Z street atlas. It was a strange situation, a 600-foot tower that was visible from almost anywhere in central London, but was a secret on paper. This policy continued until the 1990s, when the tower was finally added to the maps. It was a famous landmark, hiding in plain sight, a silent, secret giant in the middle of the city. In the heart of the bustling financial district, there is a place of unexpected peace. The Church of St. Dunstan in the east was a beautiful medieval building, redesigned by Sir Christopher Wren. During the Blitz, it was hit by a bomb. The church was gutted, its roof destroyed, leaving only the stone walls and the tower standing. After the war, a decision was made not to rebuild it. Instead, the ruins were transformed into a public garden. Trees were planted inside the roofless nave. Vines and climbing plants now grow through the empty Gothic windows. It is a serene and beautiful oasis, a place where nature has reclaimed a space of destruction. The birdsong has replaced the choir, and the sky is now the ceiling. It's a powerful symbol of life and renewal in a quiet corner of the city. Battersea Power Station is one of London's most iconic buildings. Its 4 tall white chimneys are a landmark on the city's skyline. For years the building lay derelict, a magnificent industrial ruin. When a massive redevelopment project began, the chimneys posed a problem. They were structurally unsound and had to be taken down. But they were so integral to the building's identity that they couldn't just be removed. So a painstaking process began. Each chimney was carefully demolished, and then rebuilt, piece by piece, exactly as it was before. It was a huge effort to preserve a famous silhouette. The new chimneys are perfect replicas, a testament to the power of this building in the city's imagination. They are a familiar shape on the skyline, both old and new at the same time. High above the traffic of Kensington High Street lies a secret world. On the roof of a former department store, there are 1.5 acres of themed gardens. Created in the 1930s, they are a hidden paradise, a world away from the city below. There are 3 distinct gardens. A Spanish garden with fountains and Moorish arches. A Tudor courtyard with brick walls and climbing roses. And most surprising of all, a woodland garden. This garden has mature trees, a flowing stream, and a small flock of resident flamingos. It is a surreal and beautiful sight to see these exotic pink birds walking among the trees, with the London skyline as their backdrop. For decades, this was one of London's most magical and least known places, a secret garden in the sky. In 1851, the Great Exhibition in Hyde Park was housed in a revolutionary building, the Crystal Palace. It was a vast hall of iron and glass, a marvel of Victorian engineering. After the exhibition, the palace was carefully dismantled and moved to a new home in South London. It stood there for over 80 years, a beloved landmark and concert venue. Then, in 1936 it burned down in a spectacular fire. The glow was visible for miles around. Today, nothing of the building remains, but its memory is preserved in the name of the neighborhood, Crystal Palace. The grand stone terraces and sphinxes that once led up to the palace still stand in the park, like lonely sentinels. They guard an empty space, a silent tribute to the magnificent glass palace that is no longer there. When the medieval London Bridge was demolished in the 19th century, it was not completely destroyed. Parts of it were saved and scattered across the country and the world. One of these pieces found a new home in an unexpected place. A stone alcove, one of the small shelters for pedestrians on the bridge, was moved to Victoria Park in East London. It sits there today, a strange and displaced piece of the city's history. It looks like a folly, a decorative ruin, but it is a genuine piece of London's most famous structure. People use it as a shelter from the rain, or a place to sit and rest. It is a quiet, physical link to a lost piece of the city, a stone echo of the bustling inhabited bridge that once spanned the Thames. The Albert Memorial in Kensington Gardens is a monument of overwhelming detail. It is a high Victorian explosion of sculpture and decoration, a tribute from Queen Victoria to her beloved husband, Prince Albert. At its heart is a golden statue of the prince himself, but surrounding him is a vast and complex program of sculpture. There are 169 figures carved into the base. These figures represent the great artists, poets, and architects of history. Higher up, there are allegorical groups representing the continents, industry, and the arts and sciences. Every single element has a specific, symbolic meaning. It is not just a monument, it is a dense Victorian encyclopedia carved in stone and marble, a complete worldview presented as a single, incredibly ornate object. To look at it is to be drawn into a world of intricate, layered meaning. The headquarters of London's Metropolitan Police is called New Scotland Yard. Outside its modern entrance stands its famous rotating sign, a three-sided prism of metal and glass. This sign has become a symbol of the police force itself, seen in countless news reports. The sign sits on a heavy granite plinth. This base is not just a random piece of stone. It is made from stones taken from the original Scotland Yard building. It is a physical link, a piece of the past supporting a symbol of the present. It's a small, thoughtful detail that most people would never notice. It connects the force's long history with its modern identity. The new building is made of glass and steel, but it is founded, quite literally, on a piece of its own past, a quiet nod to continuity and tradition. The part of London now dominated by the gleaming skyscrapers of Canary Wharf has a strange and humble name: the Isle of Dogs. No one is entirely sure where the name comes from, but one popular theory connects it to royalty. The peninsula was once isolated marshland, a quiet, remote place across the river from the royal palace at Greenwich. It is said that monarchs like Henry VIII used this area to keep their hunting hounds. It was a convenient natural kennel, a place to house the dogs away from the palace but close enough for the hunt. It's a strange thought that this modern center of global finance, a place of immense wealth and power, is named for the place where the king kept his dogs. It's a reminder of the deep and sometimes quirky layers of history that lie beneath the modern city. The Houses of Parliament is a vast and complex building, and beneath its famous Gothic exterior lies an equally complex and hidden world. The building is cooled and ventilated by a system designed in the Victorian era. It is a maze of hidden shafts, tunnels and chambers. Air is drawn in through tall towers, filtered, and then channeled through the building. Some of these air shafts are huge, large enough for a person to walk through. They are like a secret set of corridors, a hidden circulatory system made of brick and stone. This ingenious system, designed long before modern air conditioning, still functions today. It is a testament to the ambition and ingenuity of the Victorian engineers who built it, a hidden and vital part of the building's life that few people ever get to see. To drive a black cab in London, you can't just use a map. You have to become the map. This is the challenge of the knowledge. It is an incredibly difficult test that requires applicants to memorize the city's streets in minute detail. We're talking about 25,000 streets and thousands of landmarks, points of interest and traffic patterns. It is an intense ritual of urban learning. Aspiring drivers spend 3 to 4 years on mopeds, crisscrossing the city, learning every route, every shortcut, every one-way street. They build a complete mental model of London's complex layout. It is a tradition that resists technology, a belief that the best way to know a city is to hold it entirely in your head. It's a testament to a different kind of intelligence, a deep, lived understanding of place. Every single night, for at least 700 years, the same short ceremony has taken place at the Tower of London. It is called the Ceremony of the Keys. It is the formal locking of the tower's gates for the night. The ritual is precise and unchanging. The chief yeoman warder, carrying a lantern and the Queen's keys, meets the sentry. A challenge is issued, a password is given, and a salute is exchanged. It is a piece of living history, a ritual that has continued through wars, plagues, and revolutions. It is the oldest military ceremony in the world. To witness it is to feel the deep, steady pulse of the city's history. It's a quiet, nightly promise that the tower is secure, a tradition that has outlasted generations of guards, kings and queens. Sunday afternoon in London has a particular rhythm. It is the rhythm of the Sunday roast. This is more than just a meal. It is a weekly institution, a cornerstone of London life. As the afternoon unfolds, pubs across the city fill up. The air becomes thick with the smell of roasting meat, potatoes and gravy. Families and friends gather around wooden tables. The sound is a low, comfortable hum of conversation, the clink of glasses and the scrape of cutlery on plates. It is a moment of pause, a warm and comforting ritual at the end of the week. It's a time to slow down, to gather, and to share a meal. In a city that is always moving, the Sunday roast is a quiet anchor, a tradition that brings people together in a simple, satisfying way. Long before the city wakes up, one corner of London is already a riot of colour and scent. The new Covent Garden Flower Market in Nine Elms is a world that runs on a different clock. In the pre-dawn darkness, the parking lot fills with the vans of florists from across the city. They come here in the quiet, early hours to select the best blooms for the day. Inside the vast warehouse, it is a hive of activity. Buckets overflowing with flowers of every imaginable variety are lined up under bright fluorescent lights. The air is cool and fragrant. It is a beautiful, bustling, and almost secret part of the city's economy. This is where the flowers for weddings, parties, and shop displays begin their journey, a burst of natural beauty in the middle of the sleeping city. In a basement in Soho, the night has its own special rhythm. Ronnie Scott's Jazz Club is a legendary venue, a place that has hosted the greats of the jazz world. But the real magic often happens after the main show is over. There is a specific unwritten ritual that unfolds here. After the headline act has finished, many of the musicians, both famous and unknown, will stay for the late show. This is an informal jam session that goes on into the early hours of the morning. The atmosphere changes. It becomes more relaxed, more intimate. It is a time for experimentation and collaboration. For the musicians, it is a chance to play for themselves and for each other, a quiet, creative conversation that continues long after most of the city has gone to sleep. The Notting Hill Carnival is a vibrant explosion of music, colour, and crowds. But there is a moment, after the party is over, that has its own quiet beauty. It is the dawn on the Tuesday morning after the carnival ends. The streets, which were so recently packed with people, are now empty and silent. But they are not clean. The ground is covered in a thick, colourful carpet of confetti, glitter, discarded feathers, and food containers. It is the aftermath of a great celebration, a beautiful mess. In the early morning light, the clean-up crews begin their work. Their silent, methodical sweeping is the final part of the carnival's rhythm. It is a quiet, meditative process of sweeping the party away, returning the streets to their normal state, until next year. To get a ticket for the Wimbledon Tennis Championships, some people don't use a website. They use a tent. The queue is a legendary part of the Wimbledon experience. It is a highly organized, multi-day camping ritual. Thousands of fans line up in a park near the grounds, hoping to get one of the limited number of tickets available each day. It is a remarkable display of British politeness and patience. There is a detailed code of conduct, and a shared sense of community develops among the people in the line. They wait for days, through sun and rain, for a chance to see the tennis. The queue is more than just a line, it is a pilgrimage. It is a testament to a shared passion, a quiet, patient ritual of anticipation. London life is governed by many unwritten rules. One of the most important, and strictly followed, is the rule of the escalator. On the London Underground, you must stand on the right. The left side is for walking. This is not a suggestion. It is a fundamental part of the city's social contract. To stand on the left is to disrupt the flow, to break the rhythm. Every day, millions of people perform this small, synchronized dance of civic cooperation. It is a beautiful thing to watch. A static line of people on the right, patiently waiting. A moving stream of people on the left, hurrying to their destinations. It is a small, everyday ritual that allows the vast, complex system of the tube to function smoothly. It is order and movement, perfectly balanced. On Brick Lane, there is a place that never sleeps. The 24-hour Beagle Bake is a London institution. At 3 o'clock in the morning, its bright fluorescent lights are a beacon in the quiet street. Inside, the air is warm and filled with the smell of baking. It serves hot, fresh bagels around the clock. The customers are a perfect cross-section of London's nightlife. There are cab drivers on their break, night shift workers grabbing a bite, and people heading home after a night out at the clubs. The menu is simple: salt beef, cream cheese, a hot cup of tea. It is a place of comfort and continuity, a reliable, welcoming light in the middle of the night. It has its own steady rhythm, a constant presence in the ever-changing city. Every Sunday morning, a narrow street in East London transforms into a river of green. Columbia Road becomes a vibrant, bustling flower market. The street is so crowded with people and plants that it can be hard to move. The air is filled with the scent of flowers and damp earth. But it is the sound that is most distinctive. The market traders have their own special calls, a form of rhyming slang and banter that is passed down through generations. They shout out their deals, their voices, a key part of the market's atmosphere. It is a lively, chaotic, and beautiful ritual. For a few hours every week, this small street becomes the green heart of the city, a place where Londoners come to connect with nature, one bunch of flowers at a time. When the tide goes out, the River Thames reveals its secrets. The muddy banks, or foreshore, are exposed for a few hours. This is when a small, dedicated community of people known as mudlarks comes out. They are licensed to search the mud for historical artifacts. It is a quiet, solitary ritual. Dressed in boots and carrying buckets, they walk slowly, their eyes scanning the ground. They are looking for things that the river has preserved and washed up: clay pipes from the 17th century, shards of Roman pottery, Victorian bottles, and sometimes even older treasures. It is a slow and patient form of treasure hunting. It is a way of connecting directly with the city's long history, by holding a piece of its past in your hands, freshly plucked from the river's muddy grasp. In hundreds of pubs across London, a cherished weekly ritual unfolds. It is the pub quiz. It is a simple but powerful tradition. On a designated night, the pub's usual chatter is replaced by a quieter, more focused atmosphere. Teams of friends and neighbors gather around tables, their heads bent in concentration. They share drinks and whisper answers, competing for a small prize, and, more importantly, for bragging rights. The quizmaster reads out questions on everything from history to pop music. It is a moment of low-key, communal intellectual effort. In a big, anonymous city, the pub quiz is a small but essential piece of social glue. It is a reason to gather, to cooperate, and to feel part of a local community, one trivia question at a time. The full English breakfast is a famous meal, but to truly experience it, you need to go to a classic London, Greasy Spoon cafe. These are no-frills diners, often family-run, that have their own special rhythm. The sound is a clatter of plates and the sizzle of the grill. The smell is of bacon and strong tea. There is a ritual to ordering, a specific language understood by the staff and the regulars. The breakfast itself is a hearty, comforting plate of fried eggs, bacon, sausages, baked beans and toast. It is not a meal for every day, but it is a deeply satisfying culinary ritual. These cafes are part of the city's fabric, places that offer a warm welcome and a hot meal, without any fuss or pretense. For 8 weeks every summer, the Royal Albert Hall becomes the home of the BBC Proms, a classical music festival. One of the most beloved traditions of the Proms is promming. This is the practice of queuing on the day of the concert to buy cheap, standing room tickets. These tickets allow you to stand in the central arena, right in front of the orchestra, or in the high gallery. This creates a uniquely democratic and passionate audience. The Prommers are known for their deep knowledge and appreciation of the music. They bring a special energy to the concerts. It is a ritual that opens up the world of classical music to everyone, regardless of their budget. It ensures that the grand, formal space of the concert hall is also a place of informal, enthusiastic and accessible musical experience. The changing of the guard at Buckingham Palace is one of London's most famous spectacles. For the thousands of tourists who watch it, it is a colourful pageant, a piece of theatre. But for the soldiers involved, it is something else entirely. It is a daily, functional military ritual. It is the formal process of transferring responsibility for guarding the palace from one group of soldiers to another. Every step, every salute, every note of music is part of a precise practice drill. It is performed with immense discipline and focus, regardless of the weather or the crowds. The ceremony is a living piece of military tradition, a serious duty performed in the full glare of the public eye. It is a reminder that behind the spectacle lies a real and ongoing protective function. Tucked away in quiet corners of the city, often behind railway lines or in forgotten pockets of land, are London's allotments. These are small plots of land that are rented by citizens for gardening. They are places of quiet, seasonal ritual. Here, people from all walks of life connect with the soil. They follow the slow rhythm of growing things, planting seeds in the spring, tending to their plants in the summer, and harvesting in the autumn. Each plot is a small, personal kingdom, with its own shed, its own layout, and its own character. The allotments are a green refuge from the pace of city life. They are a place to get your hands dirty, to watch things grow, and to feel the turning of the seasons, in a very direct and satisfying way. Every single day of the year, a small group of Londoners performs a remarkable ritual. The members of the Serpentine Swimming Club gather on the shore of the Serpentine Lake in Hyde Park. And then, they go for a swim. They do this in the summer, when the water is pleasant. They do it in the autumn, when the leaves are falling. And they do it in the depths of winter, when the air is freezing, and the water is icy cold. They even do it on Christmas morning, for their annual Christmas Day race. It is a ritual of resilience and community. For these swimmers, the daily shock of the cold water is a source of life and vitality. It is a moment of pure, bracing connection with nature, right in the heart of the city. Around 5 o'clock on a Friday afternoon, a city-wide ritual begins to unfold. It is a subtle shift, a collective exhalation at the end of the working week. Office workers spill out of their buildings and head to the nearest pub. In the financial district and other commercial areas, the pavements outside the pubs suddenly become crowded. People in office attire stand in groups, holding pints of beer or glasses of wine. The sound of the city changes. It becomes a buzz of relaxed conversation and laughter. This is the first, well-earned drink of the weekend. It is a moment of transition, from the structure of the work week, to the freedom of the weekend. It is a simple, widespread, and deeply felt urban ritual. In a traditional London pub, the evening has a gentle, predictable arc. It builds with conversation and laughter, and then it begins to draw to a close. The signal for this winding down is a sound that is deeply ingrained in the city's culture, the ringing of the last orders bell. It is not a loud or demanding sound. It is a small, clear, and sometimes slightly melancholic bell. It is a gentle warning that the evening's social gathering is coming to an end. It is time to buy your final drink, to finish your conversation, to say your goodbyes. The bell is a piece of social choreography, a quiet signal that helps to manage the end of the night with grace and order. It is the soft, final note in the pub's daily symphony. Once a year, the streets of the City of London are filled with a strange and wonderful procession. The Lord Mayor's Show is a living link to the city's medieval past. It is a parade to celebrate the new Lord Mayor of the City of London, a role that is separate from the Mayor of London. The procession is a bizarre and beautiful mix of the ancient and the modern. There are ornate, golden coaches and representatives from the ancient livery companies in their traditional robes. But there are also floats from modern corporations, charities and community groups. The procession follows a centuries-old route, a ritual journey for the new Lord Mayor to swear allegiance to the sovereign. It is a vibrant, noisy, and slightly surreal piece of civic pageantry, a day when the city's deep history comes out into the streets. The sound of a London market is a unique urban music. From the gourmet stalls of Borough Market to the bustling lanes of Petticoat Lane, the traders have their own vocal tradition. It is a craft that is passed down through generations. The calls of the sellers, advertising their wares, are a key part of the atmosphere. They use a mixture of humor, rhyming slang, and sheer lung power to attract customers. Come on ladies, lovely bananas, a pound a pound. The rhythm and melody of these calls are a living piece of the city's culture. It is a sound that is both commercial and communal. It turns the act of shopping into a piece of street theater. This unique urban soundscape is a testament to the character and personality of the people who make the markets work. In early November, a collective ritual marks the official start of the festive season in London. It is the switching on of the Christmas lights on Regent Street. For a few weeks the street is transformed. Elegant glowing sculptures are suspended high above the traffic. On the night of the switch on, thousands of people gather, filling the street. There is a moment of shared anticipation, a countdown, and then, with the flick of a switch, the street is bathed in light. For a moment the whole crowd looks up, their faces illuminated by the glow. It is a simple, magical moment that brings a sense of wonder and occasion to the city. It is a signal that the dark winter nights will now be a little bit brighter, a little more festive. The Chelsea Flower Show, is a world-famous spectacle of garden design. But the most interesting part of the show might be the part that the public never sees. In the days and weeks before the show opens, the grounds are a place of quiet, intense, and meticulous creation. The world's best garden designers and their teams work calmly and with incredible focus to construct their perfect, ephemeral gardens. Every plant, every stone, every drop of water is placed with precision. It is a calm hive of activity, a race against time to create a vision of natural perfection. This quiet build-up is a ritual of intense craftsmanship and artistry. It is a reminder that behind the spectacular final result lies a period of quiet, dedicated, and often stressful work, all for a garden that will only exist for a few short days. For many London families, the Christmas season means a trip to the pantomime. This is a unique and beloved British theatrical tradition. The plays are loosely based on fairy tales, but they are filled with slapstick comedy, music, and a lot of audience participation. There are certain rituals that everyone knows. The audience must shout, "He's behind you," when a character is in danger. They must boo the villain and cheer the hero. This creates a loud, raucous, and joyful atmosphere. It is a form of theatre that breaks down the wall between the performers and the audience. The pantomime is a shared communal experience, a ritual that brings generations together in laughter and silliness during the festive season. It is a tradition that is wonderfully and unapologetically unserious. A Sunday evening curry on Brick Lane is a weekly ritual for many Londoners. It is an experience that begins on the street. As you walk down the lane, you are met with a friendly, chaotic bazaar of spice. Restaurateurs stand in their doorways, calling out offers, trying to entice you into their establishment. Best curry on Brick Lane, my friend. Special deal for you. It is a good-natured competition, a piece of street theatre that is part of the fun. The air is thick with the smell of spices. The neon signs of the curry houses glow in the dark. It is more than just going out for a meal. It is an immersive sensory experience, a weekly pilgrimage to a street that has become synonymous with one of the city's favorite foods. In the elegant neighborhood of Leinster Gardens, two houses are not what they seem. From the street, numbers 23 and 24 look just like their neighbors. They have grand, columned porches and tall windows. But if you look closely, you will see that the windows are just painted on. There are no curtains, no reflections, no signs of life. These houses are fakes. They are nothing but 5-foot-thick facades. They were built to hide a secret from the Victorian era. Just behind them runs a trench for the Underground Railway. When the line was built, steam trains needed ventilation. The houses were a clever and very polite way to hide the ugly gap in the terrace. They are a beautiful piece of urban deception, a quiet, strange secret hiding in plain sight. In a corner of Trafalgar Square, one of London's busiest public spaces, sits what is claimed to be the city's smallest police station. It is not a building, but a hollowed-out ornamental lamppost. It was installed in the 1920s so that the police could keep a discreet watch on the demonstrations that often took place in the square. The lamppost is just large enough for a single officer to stand inside. It has small slits in the side, allowing them to look out without being seen. It even had a direct phone line to Scotland Yard. It is no longer used for its original purpose, but it remains a quirky and charming piece of London's history. It's a tiny secret space of authority, hidden within a public decoration, a small and clever urban solution. In the United Kingdom, cars drive on the left. This is a fundamental rule of the road. But there is one small exception. Savoy Court, the short, private road that leads to the entrance of the Savoy Hotel, has its own special rule. Here, cars are legally required to drive on the right. This tradition dates back to the days of horse-drawn carriages. It was designed for the convenience of taxi drivers. By approaching the hotel on the right, the driver could open the passenger door for their fare, without having to get out of their seat. The doorman could then help the guest out of the cab. It is a small, elegant piece of social choreography, a rule designed around a gesture of service that has been preserved into the modern age. In the middle of London, in St James's Park, lives a colony of unlikely residents, pelicans. They have been living in the park for over 350 years. The first pair was a gift from the Russian ambassador to King Charles II in 1664. Since then, there has always been a population of these large exotic birds in the park. They are a strange and wonderful sight in the heart of the city. You can often see them sunbathing on their favorite rock in the lake, or preening their feathers on the grass. They seem perfectly at home, unfazed by the tourists and the traffic. They are a living, breathing link to a moment of 17th century diplomacy, a quirky and beloved feature of one of London's most beautiful parks. The Tower of London is guarded by soldiers, but its true guardians are a small group of birds. By royal decree, at least 6 ravens must be kept at the tower at all times. They are official residents, enlisted soldiers of the kingdom. They even have their own dedicated caretaker, the Raven Master. Legend holds that if the ravens were ever to leave the tower, the kingdom and the tower itself would fall. To prevent this, the ravens' wings are clipped just enough so that they cannot fly away. They wander the grounds of the tower, large, black and intelligent birds, a living part of the fortress's mythology. They are a strange and powerful symbol, a superstition that has been carefully maintained for centuries, a dark and feathered secret at the heart of the city. In the smart neighborhood of South Kensington, there is a building that seems almost impossible. It is a thin house, a peculiar wedge-shaped building that is only 6 feet wide at its narrowest point. From a certain angle, it looks like a flat theatrical backdrop, not a real building. The house was built on a leftover triangular plot of land. The space was created by the awkward meeting of 2 streets and the nearby railway line. Instead of leaving the gap empty, a builder in the 19th century decided to squeeze a building into it. The result is a triumph of spatial opportunism. It is a strange and delightful architectural curiosity, a reminder that even the most awkward and overlooked spaces in a city can be turned into a home, if you are clever enough. If you walk around the neighborhood of Soho, with your eyes open, you might start to notice something strange. Attached to the walls of buildings, in unexpected places, are sculpted human noses. There are 7 of them in total, hidden in plain sight. An urban myth grew up around them, suggesting that if you could find all 7, you would gain infinite wealth. The true story is just as interesting. They were installed in the 1990s by an artist named Rick Buckley. It was a piece of protest art, a commentary on the rise of surveillance cameras in the city. He wanted to see if he could put them up without being noticed. The noses are a playful, surreal and slightly subversive secret, a small piece of art that has become part of the city's folklore. In 1868, London's traffic was already a serious problem. To try and control the chaos of horse-drawn carriages near the Houses of Parliament, the world's first traffic light was installed. It was not the electric light we know today. It was a gaslit signal, with red and green lights, and semaphore arms that could be raised and lowered. It was operated manually by a police officer. For a few weeks it seemed to be a success. But the technology was new and unreliable. Less than a month after it was installed, a gas leak caused the device to explode. The police officer operating it was seriously injured. The experiment was abandoned, and it would be another 40 years before traffic lights returned to the streets of London. It was a brilliant idea, just a little ahead of its time. The philosopher Jeremy Bentham had a very specific and unusual plan for his body after his death. He wanted to be preserved as an auto-icon, a kind of secular saint. His wish was carried out. His skeleton was dressed in his own clothes, padded with hay, and seated in a chair. A wax replica of his head was placed on top. This strange and wonderful object now sits in a glass case at University College London. As per his will, the auto-icon is sometimes wheeled into university council meetings. The minutes record him as present but not voting. It is a wonderfully eccentric and slightly macabre tribute to a man who believed in reason and utility. It is a quiet, constant and very strange presence in the life of the university. a philosopher who is still, in a way, keeping an eye on things. Waterloo Bridge is a simple, elegant structure spanning the Thames. It has a nickname that hints at a hidden story: the Ladies' Bridge. The bridge was constructed during World War II. With so many men away fighting, a significant portion of the construction work was carried out by a workforce of women. They worked on the scaffolding, poured the concrete, and helped to build the bridge from the ground up. At the time, this fact was not widely publicized. The official narrative focused on the bridge as a symbol of national resilience, but the contribution of the women who built it was largely overlooked. The nickname is a quiet reminder of this forgotten piece of history, a tribute to the women whose hard labor is literally part of the city's foundation. In the middle of the bustling, urban neighborhood of Brixton stands something completely unexpected: a windmill. It is a traditional brick tower mill, built 200 years ago, when this area was still countryside. For years it stood derelict, a forgotten relic of a rural past. But the local community decided to save it. Through a long and dedicated campaign, they raised the money to restore it. It is now a fully working windmill again. The sails turn in the wind, and the machinery inside grinds wheat into flour. The flour is sold in the park next door. It is a wonderful and surprising sight, a piece of the countryside preserved and brought back to life in the heart of the city. It is a testament to the power of a community to save a piece of its own history. On a roundabout near Canary Wharf stands a strange and mesmerizing sculpture. It is called Traffic Light Tree. It is a tall structure, shaped like a tree, but its branches are covered in 75 sets of traffic lights. The lights are not synchronized. They change in a random, computer-controlled sequence. Red, amber and green lights flash and blink in a chaotic, never-ending dance. The artist, Pierre Vivant, said the sculpture was meant to imitate the rhythm of the city and the nearby financial markets. It is a beautiful and slightly bewildering piece of public art. It takes a familiar, functional object and turns it into something purely aesthetic and playful. It is a tree of light that blossoms and changes day and night, in a quiet corner of the city. Many places in London are named after pubs. The major road junction known as the Angel, Islington, is one of the most famous examples. For over 400 years, a pub called the Angel Inn stood on this prominent corner. It was a famous coaching inn, a stop for travellers on their way in and out of London. The pub itself has been rebuilt and replaced over the centuries. The current building on the site is a modern office block with a bank on the ground floor. The pub is gone, but its name has been inherited by the entire district. The tube station, the surrounding streets, the whole neighborhood is now simply Angel. It is a strange and wonderful thing that a busy modern junction is still known by the name of a pub that no longer exists. At King's Cross Station, between platforms 9 and 10, there is a small piece of magic. A luggage trolley is permanently embedded in a brick wall, halfway through. Above it is a sign for platform 9 3/4. This, of course, is a tribute to the Harry Potter books, where young wizards run at this spot to catch the train to Hogwarts. The trolley was installed by the station as a small, fun nod to the book's popularity. It has since become a major attraction in its own right. There is always a line of people waiting to have their photo taken, pushing the trolley, a scarf held up as if it's blowing in the wind of their passage. It is a wonderful example of fiction becoming a physical part of the city, a place where a story has become real. For centuries, public execution was a part of London life. The most notorious site for these events was the Tyburn Tree, a massive, three-sided gallows near where Marble Arch now stands. Thousands of people were executed here over the years. It was a place of grim spectacle and public warning. Today the gallows are long gone. The site is now a busy traffic island, a place of constant movement and noise. But if you look down at the pavement, you can find a small, circular plaque that marks the spot where the gallows once stood. It is an unassuming and easily missed memorial. It is a quiet, subtle reminder of the city's brutal past, hidden in the middle of its modern, bustling present. A dark history marked by a simple stone circle. In the late 19th century, urban planners in London were worried about a very specific kind of pollution. It was called the Great Horse Manure Crisis. The city relied on horse-drawn transport for everything. There were thousands of horses on the streets, and they produced a staggering amount of manure. Planners predicted that if things continued, the streets of London would soon be buried under 9 feet of it. It seemed like an unsolvable problem. But the crisis was unexpectedly averted by the invention of a new technology, the automobile. The car replaced the horse, and the manure problem simply disappeared. It is a strange and slightly comical footnote in the city's history, a reminder that sometimes the problems that seem most overwhelming are solved by changes we can't yet imagine. The Bank of England is a fortress of finance, a place of immense security. But it is said to be haunted by a persistent and tragic ghost, the Black Nun. The story goes that she was Sarah Whitehead, the sister of a bank employee who was executed for forgery in 1811. Sarah refused to believe her brother was dead. For years after his execution, she would visit the bank every day, dressed in black mourning clothes, asking the staff if they had seen her brother. Her ghost is now said to wander the bank and its grounds, still searching for him. It is a sad romantic story that has attached itself to this powerful and impersonal institution. It gives a human, ghostly face to the cold, hard world of money. The term Cockney, used to describe a certain type of Londoner, is now a badge of pride for some. But it was not always so. The word was originally an insult. It comes from the old term, cock's egg, which meant a small, misshapen egg. Country people used this term to describe city dwellers, whom they saw as weak, effete, and unfamiliar with the realities of nature. A Cockney was someone who was literally cock's egg born, a strange and inferior product of the city. The meaning has changed over time, and it is now associated with a specific London accent and identity. But its origins lie in a gentle mockery, a rural joke at the expense of the city, a small, strange egg in the nest of language. The names of London's streets often hold clues to the city's past. Fenchurch Street in the heart of the financial district is a good example. The name seems straightforward, but it contains a piece of geological history. The street is named after a church, St. Gabriel Fenchurch, and the church itself was named for its location. It was built on fenny, or marshy ground, close to a small stream. The fen, in Fenchurch, is a memory of this landscape. The modern street is a canyon of steel and glass, a place of hard surfaces and high finance. But the name is a quiet reminder that beneath the concrete and the ambition, this part of the city was once soft, wet and marshy. The old landscape is gone, but its ghost remains in the name of the street. Highgate Cemetery is a beautiful, overgrown and slightly spooky place. In the 1970s, it became the center of a media-fueled moral panic. A story emerged of a vampire that was haunting the cemetery. The press ran with it, and soon the Highgate vampire was a national sensation. The story sparked a rivalry between two amateur vampire hunters. They led rival groups of followers into the cemetery at night, armed with stakes and crosses, each hoping to be the one to find and destroy the creature. It was a strange and theatrical episode, a moment when folklore and media hype combined to create a modern monster hunt. The vampire was never found, but the story has become a permanent part of the cemetery's gothic and mysterious reputation. The street names of London can be very polite. King Edward Street, for example, sounds suitably grand and historical. But this was not its original name. For centuries, this street was officially known as Stinking Lane. The name was not a metaphor, it was a literal description. The lane was home to numerous butchers, shops and slaughterhouses. The smell from the animal waste and blood was famously foul. It was one of the most notoriously smelly streets in the medieval city. In the 19th century, as part of a city-wide effort to clean up London's image, the name was changed to the much more respectable King Edward Street. But the old name is a powerful reminder of the sensory world of the medieval city, a place much more raw and pungent than the one we know today. Driving a London Underground train requires constant, focused attention. This is built into the design of the train itself. The driver's control lever is a special kind of safety device. It is known as the dead man's handle. The driver must keep their hand on the handle and apply pressure to it continuously for the train to move. If the driver were to let go for any reason, if they fainted for example, the pressure would be released. This would automatically trigger the train's emergency brakes, bringing it to a safe stop. It is a simple, robust and slightly morbidly named system. It is a quiet, unseen piece of engineering that ensures the safety of thousands of passengers every day. A constant, silent pressure in the driver's hand. In front of the grand entrance to St. Paul's Cathedral stands a statue of Queen Anne. It looks like a fine, original piece of 18th century sculpture. But it is a replica. The original statue, carved by Francis Bird, had a difficult life. It was damaged by the London weather, and it was also a target for vandals. There is a story of a drunkard who broke off the Queen's nose. By the late 19th century, the original statue was in a sorry state. It was so weathered and damaged that it had to be removed and replaced with the sturdy replica we see today. The original, battered and broken, was moved to a quieter location. It is a reminder that even stone is not permanent, and that public art must sometimes be protected from the city itself. Outside the modern Euston Station stands a large, strange and rather brutalist sculpture. It is a chaotic jumble of metal shapes, called piscator. To most people, it is just an abstract piece of public art. But it is actually a highly complex and functional object. It is a sundial. It was created by the artist Edoardo Paolozzi. The different parts of the sculpture are designed to cast specific shadows at different times of the day and year. The problem is that almost no one knows how to read it. There are no instructions, no key. It is a secret clock, hiding in plain sight. It is a wonderful and slightly perverse idea. A public time-telling device that keeps its secrets to itself. A puzzle of light and shadow in a busy public square. In a quiet church in Battersea, there is a surprising memorial to a famous historical villain. St. Mary's Church has a stained glass window that commemorates Benedict Arnold. He is the infamous general from the American Revolution, a man whose name is synonymous with treason. After his betrayal of the American cause, he fled to London, where he lived out the rest of his life. He and his wife are buried in the crypt of this very church. It is a strange final resting place for such a notorious figure. The window is a small, quiet and unexpected piece of history. It is a reminder that even the most famous stories have their quiet, forgotten postscripts, their strange and unexpected final chapters, hidden away in a parish church by the river. Our walk through London is coming to an end. Wherever you've drifted to, you don't need to come back. There's nothing more to listen for tonight. Sleep well.